We thought we'd just record this quick video to explain the process that's involved in our free IT consultation. Ultimately, where the process starts is that we'll come in, we'll set up a meeting with you, and we'll start to understand how your business operates, what you do, and how you do it. And ultimately understand where your kind of pain points and frustrations are, whether it be around your existing IT support or whether you just don't feel like you're maximising the technology that you use to ultimately drive efficiency into your business or organisation. For some businesses, it's about driving efficiency. Others, it's about improving security. It could be around training. It could be about ultimately kind of building resiliency into what you do. Once we've kind of got that kind of wide understanding of the organisation itself, what we then like to do is to talk to some of your people. So talk to people in kind of key departments and understand what they do day to day. Because what we typically find is their day-to-day frustrations aren't always fed back. They might be sitting on issues that they don't always necessarily report to your existing support team. And actually some of the best ideas that we find come from staff, because we always kind of have this mantra is there's got to be a better way. So they might have frustrations in terms of the way that they do certain processes or the way that technology is used at the moment. And we can kind of take that away and actually come back to you with a set of recommendations that will improve the way that that works. Once we've spoken to your people, once we understand about your business and what you do, it's only then that we'll actually start to look at the technology that sits behind that. So we always start from a security aspect. So in terms of really looking at how secure your systems are there any potential vulnerabilities? Are there any holes there that could lead to a risk or a data breach within your organisation, which could be catastrophic? There's some really simple things that you guys can do now, but we'll check as part of the process. Is things like checking your Microsoft 365 security score. Is that being maintained? What is it? That should be a real key KPI that's tracked on a monthly basis, that that your systems are remaining secure. We'll look at your servers and your infrastructure and all the business software that you use as well. And ultimately, we'll do all the techie bits that sit behind that, and we'll come back to you after a few days and we'll present you with a set of recommendations. We'll put together a really simple PowerPoint presentation that's presented in layman's terms with no tech jargon, that ultimately will give you a picture of where you are now, some recommendations of how we can take you forward as a business, and ultimately clearly explaining what the outcomes and deliverables of those recommendations would be. So not just making recommendations for the sake of making recommendations. And if there's investment to be made, the reason why investment's going to be made, needs to be made. Or equally, what we typically find during the audits are that people aren't maximising the technology that they use. Using Microsoft 365 as an example, we typically see that customers are only using a real small percentage of the full product's capability. So a lot of our recommendations will be around maximising the use of that technology, and where that in itself can drive efficiency. So that's not necessarily without having to buy anything new, invest in any new technology, but actually making best use of the kind of the tools and systems and software that you've already got in place at the moment. The final element that we'll look at as part of the process is really looking at your disaster recovery. So the final part of the process is where we'll look at your disaster recovery systems that you've got in place. So making sure that you fully understand how long it'll take to fully restore your system. So if something bad did happen, or there was a hardware failure, or somebody gained access to your system and deleted data, or you had a bad leaver who's deleted data en masse, or actually you discover that there's some information that was deleted a long time ago, and perhaps it's outside of your backup retention window that you've got in place, of actually how can we make sure that you've got robust systems in place and that you're informed around that. Again, typically when we talk to clients, they don't necessarily know how often their data is backed up. They don't know when the last time a full restore was done. Did it work? Was it a partial restore? Was it only or was it all of your systems and software? And really understanding that process will show you where there's areas of risk within your business. And ultimately, the question that always kind of comes down to is, how much is it going to cost you as a business if your staff cannot work? And that varies from business to business. So some businesses will tell me that actually we could operate and we can go to manual systems for a day, and the reality, so the impact of our bottom line is going to be fairly minimal. Yes, it's going to be a pain. Yes, it's going to be a disruption, but actually the impact of the bottom line is going to be fairly minimal. Equally, we've got clients who bill by the hour. So every minute that they lose, every hour that they lose, immediately has a direct impact, to the bottom line and profitability of the business. So making sure that you've got the right tools in place, making sure you've got the right systems in place, and that you're informed as part of it. And the one thing then you can be assured with AAG is we will leave you with those recommendations. We're not a sales team that's going to be badgering you on the phone. We'll inform you, we'll give you that information. The process gives us the opportunity to prove our expertise and our skills that sit alongside that. And we hope that armed with that info that you'll choose AAG as your partner moving forward.